Hello everyone, Pockets here, back again playing some more EVE Online. This time, still on Cassandra, going to take a look at some more Cosmic Anomaly combat sites. We do have, as you can see here, our beautiful, wonderful Algos. We're going to give it a try today. We fit it up in the last video, or we sort of designed the fit in the last video, and then I had some time to think about it and poke at it a little bit more and made some changes. So we're going to start there. We're going to look at the fit. We're going to talk about some differences between the Tristan and the Algos and how some things work weird, and kind of discuss where we're going to go forward from there. And we may or may not do another time lapse today, so we'll see how it goes. The last one worked out pretty well, so people seem to like it, so we'll see what we can do here. So this is the Algos and the new fit, so let's take a look. His name is Dresden. I've been reading the new Dresden Files book, so there's his name. It kind of worked out because the T2 version is the Magus and so on and so forth. It may not be as clever as I think it is, but there we go. Alright, what do we have? So in the high slots, I switched the artillery cannons to 200mm light scout autocannon, so it reduces our range to about 6,000 meters, which is enough to hit most things, and it does pretty good damage out past that anyways, just the way that projectiles and autocannons work specifically. I found the artillery first off. The problem with artillery is the refire time, so while it has a much higher volley damage, it has a much lower DPS damage compared to the autocannons, because the time between shooting is so much longer. So I would one-shot a frigate and then have to wait for the entire cycle time before I could shoot the next one, whereas the autocannons still often one-shot, maybe two-shot the target, but then I can shoot the next one a lot quicker. So I haven't actually fit the autocannons on this particular one, but I find, in my experience, if you can use autocannons for what you're doing, do it. The artillery are definitely for a long-range sniper type stuff. Really good in numbers if you have multiple ships fit with them and you can knock hard targets off the grid at range. But for what we're doing here, I think the autocannons work better, so I did that. Also, to that end, and I don't know exactly why, but the autocannons, the Metaphor autocannons, are like a third the price of the artillery right now. So there must be something going on. There must be a lot of artillery being used for things. I would suspect gankers have something to do with that. At least some part, if not, and maybe some stuff in nullsec. But so we went with autocannons here, and using the phased plasma ammo because it's the kinetic thermal. And then we have 2 cap recharges. I dropped the T2 battery and fit the cap recharger. It was an interesting discovery because the cap chargers are smaller in fit, which allowed me to switch out the capacitor control circuit and become just cap stable. Now, I wasn't looking for cap stability, but there's nothing really else I can do in the mids and have enough capacitor anyway. So I figured having cap stability by changing the rig and the one battery out, doesn't really give us any benefit anywhere else, but the difference is cap stable or 5 minutes, or 7 minutes I think it was in the end, 7 minutes with the battery here. So I swapped that out as well. So we have 2 cap recharger 2s, Monopropellant Afterburner, which we barely use, and you'll see why. 2 drone damage amplifier 2s, because most of our damage is coming from our hobgoblins. You can see here for drones I have hobgoblins and 3 hammerheads as we discussed, and then an armor repper 2, which we can run full bore. We don't have to worry about capacitors, so we just turn that on at the beginning of the site and go. And then a thermal and kinetic armor reinforcer 1. This is nice and cheap. We can get a little more performance out of this by T2ing the rigs if we wanted to, at least these 2 rigs. Metaing out the repper if we need to. But that's the fit, basically. And then we just run the ammo. Oh, I got some stuff I got to drop off. Oh, we'll do that later, before we undock. So yeah, that's the basic fit. The other thing I'm trying to do, I've noticed and it's been discussed that I don't do this enough, and it's something I should really get into, is use mobile depots. So a mobile depot is about 1.5 million ISK, which is fine. It's a cost, but it's there, and it's 100 meters cubed, or 50 meters cubed, so it takes up a little bit of space. It takes up less space than a mobile tractor unit. But what this allows us to do, for those that don't know, is we can anchor this in space, and then we can change up our fitting. We can turn modules on and off. We can change modules in and out of the ship fit. It takes about a minute, I think, to actually set up. So I usually throw it in near the beginning of a site. And then once the site's done, we swap out our guns for some salvaging kit. So tractor beams and salvagers. And then we can just salvage the site while we're there and make some more ISK. So it takes out the need to have a second ship. You could do this with a catalyst as well. If you didn't want to go the drone routes, you could fit up a catalyst with all the guns and do the same thing if that is what you're inclined to do. So this is something we're going to try rather than do a dozen sites and then come back, get your ship, and do a dozen salvaging. We're just going to grind out an hour doing both and see how that works in the long run. So that'd be interesting as well. And it may be something we can carry on once we go up to the Vexor. But we're going to dump this out. So this is kind of our undock setup. We have our ammo. Just using T1 ammo right now to save costs because we're trying to save up the biggest things. Mobile depot and our salvaging setup. 2 tractor beams and 4 salvagers, which fits the full highs. And I'll do one site where I walk you guys through that and the process there. It's a pretty cool little setup. I like it. The one thing I did notice between the Algos and the Tristan is we can't really run dens. I mean, it can be done. We'd have to bling some things out to do it comfortably, but they are kind of scary in the Algos. And the main reason for that is we're not increasing our tank by a whole lot, but we are increasing the size of our ship, so we actually take more incoming damage. We're less maneuverable in the Algos, even with the Afterburner on, than we are in the Tristan. So the hits are hitting us harder and we're not increasing the tank. And that's by design. Most destroyers are basically glass cannons. They're not meant to tank a room. They're meant to get in and do as much damage as possible and get out. So if we were to go to T2 ammo, T2 guns and stuff, and bling some of the stuff out, we'd probably easily be able to do dens, but we don't want to increase that cost right now, because what we need to do is start working towards our final Galente ship before we start figuring out where we want to go, and that's going to be cruiser. Once we get a cruiser, we can start running narcotics warehouses, and that's where things are going to start taking off for us. Because while we're looking for the Shadow Serpentis sites in the anomalies, you can get those escalations, and they have a chance of dropping really good loot within the rats, the named rats within each window, but also the final room, you destroy the structure and loot it, and has a really good chance of getting like an expensive faction drop. So that's where the income's going to start coming a little faster. But let's talk about our next step. So that's our fit here. I will try to remember to put this one as well into the I can't words anymore, into the description, so let me know if you don't see it, and I will get that posted in there for you guys. But this is the fit we're going to run with for now. We're not going to bling it out any more than it is. It cost me about 10 million all in. This is a little bit skewed because the prices in and around me right now are a little high, but if you go to Dixie, it was about 10 million. That said, you don't have to, you could stick with the Tristan and keep doing this for a very long time. Like, that worked really well already, but I like this ship, and this is the one I want to sit in while I grind out the rest of the things. The nice thing is it does fly medium drones as well. So what we're going to do is look at our skill queue here. I did train a couple things between this video and the last. I trained up our... I threw hybrid turrets in here for the inevitable switch to the Vexor, so we'll look at that as well. I trained up our gunnery skills in small projectiles to 3. So that gets us pretty decent with our autocannons. And that's the only projectiles I'm going to train for now. For what we're doing, we don't really need to go to a battle cruiser. So we wouldn't want to... If you're going to go to a Myrmidon, you could also do the same thing we're doing here because it doesn't have gun-specific bonuses. So you could go to medium projectile turrets to save on capacitor and such. But we're not going to do that anytime soon. So we're going to go to hybrids because I think what we're going to end up flying is a Vexor Navy issue is where we're going to head next. Because we have some time to train, we might be able to have enough ISK by then. So let's see what we got here. Some of this stuff we'll have to top out at some point. I did train Galente Cruiser to 2. I'm going to throw 3 on here because we want it to be at least 3 when we get there. I would like to get it to 4, but that won't be critical. What do we got here? Some of these we can change up, like high evasive maneuvering will get us a little bit more agile and stuff like that, but we can worry about that later. We are going to be armor tanked if we go to the VNI, so that we'll have to pump up some of these, like repair systems and hulls and mechanics. These are stuff we're going to have to train up, so we probably have about 30 days worth of training. Here's a fit. I think I saved it. Just to show you what I'm kind of looking at. If I remember how to work things, this would be great. Vexor. And if we go Vexor Navy Gallows here, so this is kind of what I'm thinking for in the end ship. It is 72 million. We can probably shave some of the cost by not buying it where I am. Usually you can bring that down. We could do some other things. Some of the stuff will be transferable as well. Like we do already have a medium cap battery and such. But this is kind of what I'm looking at here, and you can see the training is going to take about 2 months, so we may actually tap into, if things start grinding out, we do have 800 million skill points here still. Or 800 million. That's a lot, 800 million. 800,000 skill points, so we'll probably tap into this to speed up some of these, because we definitely want to be flying. We also want to be flying 2 drones at this point, because that's going to be the greatest increase to our damage. But the idea is 3 neutron particle accelerators. Again, these are kind of a secondary damage option. They're about half what our drones do at the moment, if we're doing hammerheads, which we probably will be at this point. So they're about a third of our total damage. And for hobgoblins, they're probably about the same. Yeah, it's a little less than 2/3, or a little more, about 2/3, roughly. His damage would be coming from drones. So still the main focus is going to be using drones. But yeah, 3 particle accelerators. These are nice because in the sites where they come in close, these will do damage. Now, they're not as good outside of the Falloff as artillery because of how the math works. Skip ahead a few seconds if you don't care about how the math works, but essentially what it is you have your optimal range and then your Falloff, and you can see here it's 2,007.5, which means our Falloff range is 5.5 kilometers, or 5,500 meters, right? So you add to your optimal range 5.5, that's how you get your Falloff. From optimal to Falloff, it'll be a sort of a scale down to about 50% of your damage in a perfect world. Assuming perfect application other than range, you're doing about 50% damage, and then it scales down from there and keeps scaling down until you're not hitting and not doing any damage. The autocannons, we'll exit the simulation for a second, and then you can see it's 600 is our optimal range, but it goes out to 6,000. So we're at about 6,000 Falloff. So we get that extra little bit of buffer, right? There's a much larger range where, and again, this is small guns compared to mediums. If we did mediums to mediums or compared small to small, that range would be even greater. I can actually show you that as well. Hang on. Stand by. And again, I know a lot of you like to see my thought process. That's why I leave this in. Show info. We're going to compare this. I like doing it this way instead of doing it the other way because I don't want to just bring up all of them. Why did that happen? I want to go here. Then we're going to go to hardware. And we're going to go to high slot. We're going to go down to turrets. And I could just search up the top, but I'm not going to. And we're going to go to railguns. And we're going to find our small Meta 4 railguns. I guess we should apply blasters because it's the same weapon sort of range. Small neutron blaster, finally found it. And you can see here if we do accuracy, Falloff, and optimal range, not worrying about damage at the moment, you can see here the difference, right? Our light autocannons is optimal range 12 and out to, so it's like about 4,000, and here it's about 1,000. So our second Falloff on the neutron particle cannons is at 1,000. Our second Falloff, or is at 3.5. Give or take, whereas our second Falloff on the autocannon is actually going to be somewhere more like 9, right? So that's how it works, and that's why autocannons are better outside of their optimal range than a blaster is, and that's just the trade-off. Blasters are typically, you can see here the tracking. Our tracking on the blaster is better, which means we're going to hit easier within our range, so they're better in close than autocannons, and the other one is damage multiplier is typically a little more on the blasters, but we don't get the benefit of the Falloff. So that's the trade-off, and that's the beautiful thing about Eve. There's always little trade-offs. In this case, we're doing this A for that extra Falloff, and B because we wanted to save the capacitor. On the Vexor though, because the Vexor Navy issue is bonus to hybrid turret damage and tracking speed, we want to be using hybrid guns. We could use railguns, but they don't have really good tracking in close, and we're going to have problems hitting frigates, and a lot of our targets are going to be frigates, even going on to the next stuff. So that's why blasters, they'll have a better time tracking the frigates in close than a railgun will. Anyways, long story short, 2 medium cat battery 2s. This may change. I'm going to play around with it a bit more. We have 20 minutes, which should be enough for anything, and we shouldn't need to run our repper the whole time for most things. 10 meganewton monopropellant afterburner, which we won't use for most things. We're only going to be using those in the narcotics warehouses. For the anomalies, we probably won't use it at all. And I put an omnidirectional tracking link in here, but the idea here is that we're going to increase the tracking on our drones so we can use hammerheads for most things to get that extra DPS. This may change as well. We might do a blaster or a turret tracking thing. I haven't played with it yet. This is kind of just a first build where I'm sort of thinking to start. I'm giving you an idea what I need to train. 3 times drone damage amplifiers. This should be enough to do the hydraulics bay. I'll have to go back and see what I used to use. I don't have that readily available. Damage control 2 and an energized adaptive nanomembrane 2. Just because I only have these 2 slots, I could put these as damage specific passive reps or passive resists, but we don't actually get up to 67 here under the same setup with those. So this works out quite well, having the 2 different ones. The main thing is the stacking. This one and this one don't have stacking penalties because they're different sort of resists. So we get the full 15 and the full 16%, which is nice. And then a medium armor repper 2. This would be something I'd like to up to a faction armor repper, like or a Pitham, but that's like 100 million ISK, so we won't do that anytime soon. And then a capacitor control circuit 2, which we could up to a tech 2 if we can afford it. So if we get there and we notice that we have the ISK for it, that would probably be one of the first things we do. Capacitor control circuit 2, which makes us slightly stable. But it does cost us a little bit more ISK, right? 7 million ISK for that. So for now, it's sort of fit out with the Tech 1. Saves us, you know, a few million ISK. And then 2 Tech 1 medium thermal armor reinforcers. Again, this would be one of the first things I would up to T2s, especially in a faction ship. And yeah, these have been changed. The Vexor Navies have actually been changed considerably since last time I used one, so that's why I want to sort of aim that way. It's a little more expensive than a Vexor, but it should be pretty good. Should be pretty good. They kind of steered some of the focus away from drones and added some focus towards guns, which is pretty exciting. So yeah, about a month and a half to train that. We'll probably tap into some of our skill points at that point if things get boring, but that's it. That's kind of the fit we're aiming for. It's going to be some time before we have that fit, so I'm going to share this one in the comment section down below as well. If you guys have some other wallet friendly, so metaing things or blinging things out to faction and dead space modules is probably not where we're going to head in the early days, as well as alpha friendly. There's some things that you can do, like even this with alpha modules alphas can fit. They have some limitations due to their fitting skills that we need to be cognizant of, but if you have some ideas of cost efficient things that aren't going to cost a whole bunch more ISK and alpha friendly tweaks to this fit, let me know. But I think this is our next stop after the Algos, is we're going to go to the Vexor Navy. I just like the ship, you know. It's a good little ship, and I haven't flown one in a long time. I haven't flown one since I left Nullsec, really, and that one that I flew in Nullsec no longer really works because some of the changes to the Vexor in the last few months to a year. So there we go. That's gonna be the fit. I'm going to be finished rambling there. I will share that fit in the comment section down below in the description of the video. If you don't see it there, let me know. Yell at me and I will get it for you. I want to see if we can fit some more stuff in our skills here in between. So I need stuff that's less than a day. What do we need? The first stop for our ISK train, we have 8 million right now, is to get this book. 13 million ISK. We need to start training our drone specialization and our medium drone skills, which we have at 3 already, which is nice. But we need this book. So I will definitely want to do that at some point. Oh, while I'm thinking about it, the other thing I messed up in the other video, when I was talking about the guns and I was comparing the different weapon systems, and I said that there's no point in going to the T2 because the damage is the same, completely spaced on that, and it was pointed out to me, so I forget who did that. It was in the comment section down below. I forget your name right now, I'm sorry, but yeah, you pointed it out, and yeah, you're absolutely right. Totally spaced on the fact that all skills, because I obviously don't have the prerequisites. If we go to small, any of them, small autocannon specialization, you get a 2% bonus per level, so we get up to 6% more damage out of a T2 weapon system if we had the special when you train the specialization, and that's something I keep spacing on because honestly, it's something that I've just always had, and I always forget that it's there. There you go, 6%. 6% may not be a lot, but it is technically more damage, so that's why there is benefit going up to T2. It is harder to fit, it is more expensive, there is more training to it, so it's up to you if for an alpha that 6% damage is worth it. But without further ado, let's go out and take a look at this. Let's make sure I have all my stuff. I have my ammo, I have my mobile depot. Let's do this. And we're just going to find the first site, we're going to go through it slowly, and then I might do some grinding and we'll time lapse it and see how it goes. First thing we're going to do is go in here. Now this has enough tank that we don't need to worry about orbiting, so I'm going to reduce our tracking penalties to damage, or application penalties, by parking myself kind of up here. So the first thing I do is I start moving. We could pulse the Afterburner to get in there. I'm just going to turn the repping on. I'm going to launch my drones with Shift F. We're going to send them after this guy because it's the most dangerous thing currently on grid, and we're going to shoot him. We're going to kind of park ourselves right in here between these two, just over here, and we're not going to move. And then once we're in position, so what this does is it puts us right on top of where the spawn is, so when new things come out, we're right on top of them. And they have to fly away from us. And we're just going to sort of park within range of our mobile depot. I believe it's 2,500 meters, 2.5 kilometers is the sort of activation range on the mobile depot. So if you're within that, much like the mobile tractor units and looting. So you can see these guys are slightly outside our fall-off range, but we can still apply pretty good damage with our guns, which is good. This is a really bad spot for the camera because I'm right underneath this little freaking thingy, so I'm just going to kind of move back this way so you can see he's in range. I just start locking him, hit F1, and then as soon as he locks, my guns will fire on him. And then I can send the drones. So that's a nice little trick there as well. If you pre-cycle your guns, they will start shooting as soon as your target is locked. There we go. So we're on the other side of this, which means our camera can work a little better and we can see what's going on. Drones, come on. They're on aggressive. I don't know why they're not doing it. Are they on aggressive? They are on aggressive, okay. So we'll shoot. And then I launched this here because you can see now it's anchored. And I'm actually going to bookmark right now, mobile depot. So if I do happen to warp away without picking it up, I can come back. That's a good habit to get into. Last time I used a mobile depot, I know I left at least one behind. There was a time when I used to carry 2 or 3 in my cruiser. I was doing something with a Stradius, but that was years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago. So I think I tried something with mobile depot for alphas before with the Praxis. I don't remember if I recorded it or not. That was during when EC's the heyday of emerging conduits. But you can see I'm just sitting here, and again, I'm not moving because what I'm trying to do is reduce the amount of tracking penalties I get for my movement. So I'm only suffering from them orbiting me. It also helps keep everything kind of in a tighter circle, so when we go to salvage, everything's closer to us than it would be if we were moving around a lot. And because my tank holds and I'm cap stable, it's not a problem. If we were doing something, if we saw some cruisers, we'd probably want to start moving, because at that point we're going to track the cruisers easier. The penalty's going to apply more to them than to us because they're bigger than us. It's kind of a general rule, is if you're the bigger target, you kind of want to not move because you're going to suffer more for the tracking penalties than your opponents. Generally speaking. I mean, obviously there's ways you can fit to mitigate that anyways, but in this case, I want to be applying better and they want to be moving. So the less, if I was really trying to lower it down more, I could chase them, like just approach, and that would force them to make a shallower orbit. So we call the drones, turn off our repper, and then we just open, because we're within range of our mobile depot, we just open our fitting window, everything's dead, ammo goes away. Yes, I'm going to just do this because I don't want that popping up every time. We just unfit our guns, turn all of this stuff off. Let's just, don't ask me that again. It's just dangerous because one of these days I'm actually going to click on it when I don't have a mobile depot and turn it off. We just fit all this in the highs. Now I do have to turn everything off or I can't fit everything, which is fine. We don't need any of that right now. We're not in a place where we might, I mean, if code decides to come shoot us, we're pretty much toast. All right, and we are back. That was an hour grind. So, final thoughts. That was very busy. There was a lot of sites that people were in already running stuff all over the place. So I don't know if that was just a sign of this weekend or what that was, but usually it's not quite so bad. I had to go quite far out to find not busy sites, so I didn't get quite as many sites run in that hour as I did in the last video, but as you saw, I did do what I could. 2, I left my mobile depot behind at one point. I'm sure, hopefully it'll show up in the video in post. We'll see if I can find it. But I left my mobile depot behind, so ended up having to switch to bookmarking and going out with the catalyst to salvage them up. But we're going to pop into home here, and we're going to see what we got. It was only a few sites that I managed to salvage by the time I got everything done. Long story short, the Algos didn't feel as good as the Tristan, so that's a little bit disappointing. I was hoping it was going to be at least as good, but it just didn't feel it. I think part of the problem is it's slower, and because of its increased size and signature radius and all that, I couldn't take a lot of the sites that I was able to do in the Tristan. So if I did find a den in the Tristan, I had an option to try. Even like some of the higher end, the Forsakens and the Forbiddens, it may just be my fit as well. So let me know what you guys think if I need to change something in the fit. But I think most of it's just to do with the fact that there's not a lot of tank on these destroyers. So I'm actually thinking for the rest of the grind, while we save up for our frigate, I may sell the Algos and go back to the Tristan. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I won't sell it till I hear, but I may switch back to the Tristan for my grinding. But yeah, I'm going to see how much we made. The bounties were in, so we'll count that up. Let me get back docked up. Actually, yeah, the bounties. So we made like $1.5 million in bounties.
Docking request.
A couple million. Yeah, we did all right for the bounties. It wasn't a lot of sites, like I said. We'll know how many when we go and post, because I'll be able to count them. I lost count. I was chatting with people and doing some other stuff. But yeah. Not as happy with the Algos as I was expecting to be, as I remember it being, so fond memories. But here's some stuff here. Let's see what we got. The ammo won't count because I'm just going to hold on to that. This stuff was all from the Algos. I'm just going to stick it in the catalyst. This was all from the Algos. Well, not bad. 10 million. So it's not bad there. So definitely needing to keep the salvaging up until we start running the escalations. There's some other things I'm going to look at as well, but I think I'm going to go back to the Tristan. Just do the Tristan Catalyst combo again for a few more runs. I'll sell this stuff up as well and get that into the bank so we can start saving up for our Vexor Navy while we train the skills. Once we have the ISK to buy the skills, I'll dump skill points into whatever skills are left to see if we can't get into it sooner rather than later. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I did still enjoy doing it. It felt slower, mostly due to the align time comparison between the Tristan and the Algos as well. And I think the bigger problem was that it was busy, and I kept running into sites that were being run. You probably actually saw a few in the videos where I was running them that there were people poking their heads into sites I was running as well. So it was a very busy weekend for it. So that'll play into it as well. But yeah, it looks like that was buying. I think that's when I sold the. So this will be it here. That today, yeah, that was all today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You can see here these are the smaller ones. This is when I ended up running hideaways, and there was bigger gaps between them because I got busy. This was when I was running multiple refuges, so the bounties came in a lot faster. But yeah, it is working. It's great. And if you want to use the algos, there's no reason not to. It just didn't feel as good. It didn't feel as fun. The other thing is leaving my mobile depot behind kind of sucked, and I didn't bookmark it, nothing, so whoops. I can go scan it down, but it's only like 1.5 million ISK. It was more that I couldn't salvage. But yeah, so that was it. So let me know what you guys think. I think I might go back to the Tristan for the rest of the grind. I have also been toying with the idea of, now that we've shown 2 fits, maybe doing something like showcasing some other ones, having Kel buy a Comet fit for the character and go out with something a little different. So I might even do that. The Comet may struggle in the dens as well, though the Tristan didn't, so I might be able to do dens in a Comet. So let me know what you guys think. If you want to see some other ships, some other fits, or if you just want to see some more grinding up in the Tristan or the Algos. But yeah, I think I was going to do yeah, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. The other thing I do want to get into is doing some scans, like doing the DED sites, the 1 through 3s, in some other stuff. So I've been talking to some guys about that as well, what we can do there, keeping in mind that it's all alpha, so there are going to be some limits to what we can fit up. But yeah, let me know what you guys want to see going forward. Do you want to see some more? Maybe I'll run through one of each type of site fully and talk about it with the Tristan instead of just showing a time lapse, something like that. I can do whatever you guys would like to see, but that'll probably be it for this Algos, unless you guys really liked it, and we'll go from there. So yeah, pretty excited to see where we go. There's lots we can do, and I'm looking forward to getting into that Vexor Navy, because again, I haven't flown a Vexor Navy issue really since I left nullsec, and so that'll be fun to get back into as well. Alright guys, well as always, thank you for watching. Appreciate all your comments on the last few videos, and we'll see you all next time. Take care of each other. I'm out of here.